All right, we're all set.
Right, I will call the meeting to order. The first thing on the agenda, Corey is down attending to the budget voting, so we need to declare a clerk pro tem, and that will be Meg Hungerford. Do we have a motion to accept that?
Motion.
Second,
Paul? Marilyn? All in favor?
aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right, we are going to recess from our regular meeting to open up the public hearing for the purpose of discussing the district-wide safety plan and code of conduct. Do we have a motion to recess the meeting?
Arnie will make it.
Second?
No second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right, at this time, I will turn the meeting over to Superintendent Thomas.
Superintendent Thomas is going to turn the meeting over in turn to, who wants to go first? Should it be Ryan or and Art, or should it be Rick? Let's go with Rick if that's okay with the safety plan.
Yep, we looked it over the last few weeks, looked it over during our safety committee. There were very few changes. We had to add a couple names, Mr. Loomis as principal, and we changed the wording to a couple of the drills that we attempt to run every year, but have had a difficult time tending to, such as the evacuation or shelter in places. So I believe we've changed the terminology to will strongly attempt or something like that. I haven't seen the final product that Corey changed it to, but that's the short end of it. So a couple name changes and a little bit of a changes of the phrases.
We're not violating anything.
Encourage, strongly encourage, correct.
Yeah, but we're not violating anything. We're not going against what the regulations are.
No, so we're required to have 4 lockdowns. 8 fire drills and 4 evacuations, or something like, what is it, 8? Now I'm confused. We're required to have 8 fire drills.
Yes.
Evacuations, fire drills, evacuations, and 4 lockdowns. Anything on top of that is in excess of those policies. So we normally do a shelter in place, or we try to, along with our early dismissal. And we attempt to do evacuations as often as possible. Not the evacuation, what is it? When we, Mr. Loomis, I'm having a difficult time. When we actually leave the campus and go to the, what is that?
Sounds like an evacuation.
Evacuation.
Yeah,
I think
I'm confusing myself here. I'm dealing with my kids walking in. My wife is trying to close the door.
The wonders of Zoom.
That's all I have for you. I probably confused you more than I've clarified anything.
No, I did see that with the using the verbiage strongly encouraged. So that way it's anticipated that we will attempt to hold those
Correct.
Trainings, but if they are not, then we're not violating
Our own policy,
Yep.
which was important to me because when we took this over, or when I took it over a couple years ago, we hadn't done many of those drills in several years prior. So we're violating that policy every year when we don't have to do those drills. So I just wanted the terminology altered slightly. We will attempt to get those drills in. We ran the high school evacuation last year and went really well. First time we've run it in probably half a decade or more. We have an idea for Townsend where we're debating doing a staff-only evacuation. So the kids really aren't involved. We figure they'll follow along, but at least that'll give us a way to train the staff on the proper routes that we're taking to the churches. So we're going to continue to attempt to run those. But it also takes almost a full day of, takes the kids out of classes for at least the entire morning. So you lose quite a bit of instructional time when you're doing those larger evacuations.
Well, that's one of those things that you don't need it until you need it.
Right.
So for instance, a tornado or a severe thunderstorm, if there was kids out on the sports field or out on the playground, just knowing what to do and where to go, quickly,
The time we put into the evacuation preparation last year, I can't tell you how many countless hours and issues we actually dealt with on a daily basis from questions from staff and students that Art and I had to deal with continually. Tracy was involved. Most of the admin was involved in it. We're involved in it. So it really helped. We actually gained quite a bit of knowledge running that evacuation last year.
And then Rick always runs a follow-up meeting with his team, with the safety committee, talk about what went right, what went wrong, and recommendations for next time around. The other thing that we were going to try to do this year that we didn't get to, right, Rick, was the tabletop drill.
Tabletops.
We had hoped to be able to do that. I think it was like in May that we were talking about maybe doing it. And of course, COVID got in the way of that. So that went away. But we do feel that we should be doing tabletop drill with the team, the folks on the safety committee itself and the leadership team. That wouldn't involve students, but it is a day and it does take a lot of planning. There's logistics involved and that sort of thing. So hopefully we're going to try to do that next year too.
We do have two individuals, one from the Sheriff's Department and Rick Shaw from DCMO BOCES, who are both willing to do those tabletop drills for us. So we have them lined up now, which is great. We just need to find the time.
And then the only other changes I seen was a couple of name changes where somebody was in that position before and then corrected that. And then instead of guidance, it's now Student Service Department.
Correct.
Yeah.
We added Danny Hodges and Bill Prim to the safety committee. Those were two additions. We also removed a couple,
Teachers.
one sheriff's officer we removed who's no longer with the department, and one teacher who is no longer on the committee. So those should be all of the changes.
Okay. Are there any questions on that? And just keep in mind for the public, if there are any public comments, the public can email the BOE at waltoncsd.org or by calling 865-4116 extension 6130. It's not anticipated that these will be voted on until August 25th at the regular board meeting. So if anybody from the public does have any questions, they will have time to ask their questions and get those questions answered. All right, and we are code of conduct.
If there are no other questions, then we'll move to the code of conduct. And this one, I believe, is largely Ryan and Art and Adam and maybe a couple other folks that I'm forgetting at this point. So, and I apologize for that in advance, but go ahead, folks.
I'll go ahead and start. As it stands right now, we do not have any actual changes for the code of conduct this year. While we were in session, at least we found that last year's version that they came up with, that everybody worked on, held up with all the changes that they made last year. So we're going to continue with that document for next year. Something that we were discussing, looking at with the transition to distance learning was maybe some language to reflect online digital citizenship kind of things. So that includes virtual classrooms, increased communication online, like emails and things like that. With that popping up, we kind of want to see how next year goes with the reopening, what we may have, come up with kind of a solid plan on addressing some of those issues for next year once we get through all that. But as far as this year goes and next year's code of conduct, it is there were not any changes made from the document that these guys changed up last year. So widely where we're at on that one.
All right, good. So if there's no questions from the board, I will again let the public know that if they do have any questions on either document, that they can contact or by contacting the BOE at boe@waltoncsd.org or by calling 865-4116 extension 6130. And it is anticipated that these plans will be adopted at the August 25th regular Board of Education meeting. So if there's no other comments, I will ask for a motion to close the public hearing and return to the regular meeting.
I'll make
I'll
it.
make the motion. I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, we're gonna deviate from the agenda. We're gonna allow the administrators to give us their reports. That way they don't have to stay the entire meeting for the business aspect of it, unless they want to.
I thought it would be nice to, since this is our last official meeting, to bring this team together, and if they had anything specific that they would like to say to you as a board, either going into the summer or reflections on the year, or thoughts about what they might be preparing for in the coming year, things of that sort, that they might share that with you. Also, there's absolutely no way that I can do justice to the reports. I've asked them to send them to me, and they've done that, and I think I've done a pretty terrible job of reporting to all of you on it. I've given you good information, but I'm just not anywhere as exciting to listen to as they are. So I'm going to, let's pretend that we're all sitting in a line, folks, and my line actually starts with Jane. So Jane, would you go first?
Well, good evening. And the curriculum committee met on last Thursday, and I just gave them a brief, well, it wasn't a brief report at all. The meeting was about an hour and a half. Met on sorry?
I think you're just echo there, Jane.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. So we talked a little bit, well, first of all, we talked about curriculum, and I just wanted to let everybody know that the core curriculum for ELA in the elementary school has moved to CKLA, which is Core Knowledge Language Arts, and we're very excited about that. It's a wonderful program. It's science of reading based. So our teachers are currently undergoing training in sort of what CKLA can do for our students. We've also had teachers at the elementary school undergo letters training, and that is kind of a teaching of reading, which complements CKLA, so it's a wonderful program. Instruction wise, over the pandemic, teachers had and really took advantage of all the professional development that we offered in technology. If you remember, we had planned to go one-on-one with Chromebooks in September, and I was very cognizant of all the training that we would have had to have done during the summer to get teachers up to speed with using things like Google Classroom and all the Google apps, and teachers were kind of thrown into the whole situation in March, way ahead of time. So we very hurriedly put together some training, and that blossomed out into deeper, in-depth training, and the teachers took full advantage of that, and kudos to Dave Potter, who stayed on top of the training. So our teacher, and more so, I think kudos to the teachers who really embraced it, the training, and have become absolute experts in online delivery of lessons. Some of them have kind of gone way out over and above, We had one teacher who personally phoned every single student just to make sure that the parents and the students could, get access. And she delivered one-on-one lessons. And I know that teachers have been doing one-on-one lessons, and they've been working really, really hard. One teacher who expressed really concern that her teacher, because the students keep very different hours to teachers, she was getting emails at 1 o'clock in the morning, and I know one teacher who stayed up until really very, very late with one student, kind of correcting and drafting one assignment in the high school to get that student through his course. So, the teachers have really gone over and above with the professional development and that we provided with technology. The other instructional piece is that next year we're going to do the same kind of process that we did with ELA, but that's going to be with math. So we're going to be looking for a new math curriculum. We're going to go through that, and the year after that we're going to be looking at science. So we started a kind of exploratory focus group in science in the elementary school, and the grades 3 through 5 teachers have been meeting with me. We met to try and kind of pick apart the next generation science standards and what that means and how that it can be implemented in the classroom, because there's an awful lot going on with a change in ELA, with a change in math. There's science coming along. They've announced this week the new art standards, the PE standards are coming out. So there's a lot of change coming in curriculum, and we just really want to stay on top of all of that. So the wonderful thing about CKLA that we purchased is that it's totally aligned to the next generation science standards. So it's great. Assessment, each year we receive our Every Student Succeeds accountability status, and our status this year is in good standing. We've remained in good standing. However, the accountability measures, I think Corey put into your packets, and you can see that there are a couple of areas that we are not really, happy about, and we need to do a little bit better. So, and there's a high school ELA and high school math, and the problem isn't that the kids aren't passing or anything like that. The kids are all passing. That's fantastic, but they're not passing really as high as we would like them to. So I met with the ELA department and the math department to start putting into place some plans so that we don't slip into, it doesn't cause a problem for us later on when we get our accountability status in coming years. We want to boost that up again so that we stay very, very solid in good standing. And the ELA department and the math department identified some areas of professional development, but also some areas that they want to reach out to the community and involve parents and the community in some, for example, some math family nights, and some kind of community events, really to help parents understand the math that the kids are studying. So really that was an hour-and-a-half meeting in 5 minutes.
Thank you, Jane.
Let's go to Art, please.
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to start off by talking about graduation, the commencement ceremony we had this past Saturday. Thank you to everybody who showed up. I'm not sure a lot of people realize that, most of the board members had, 2 to 3 hour time slots, and Rhonda and Larry, I know you guys were there all day, so thank you very much for that. I think people will see on the video when it comes out on the 27th, the time that everybody was there. I know it meant a lot to me, so thank you. Logistically, it ran very smooth. We had a couple of moments where we were either right on time or a few minutes behind, but other than that, we were ahead of schedule all day. And, we saw a lot of happy people on Saturday. And I think how controversial graduation was this year. I think people kind of put those feelings to the side and took Saturday for what it is, and it's a really big moment for their kids. And so thank you again for making Saturday all about the kids. It was a really, really good time. PJ's already started to work on the video, so I'm sure we'll enjoy watching that before it finally gets released. Aside from the commencement ceremony, it was a very interesting first year. I'll never forget it as a principal, but I appreciate the support from everybody here. Larry, Adam, Amanda, Jane, Ryan, awesome team. Rick as well down there at the bottom of my screen who I couldn't see, but yeah, it's great working with people that you work so well with. So thank you to everybody. And that's all that I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next on my line here is Meg.
Well, first on my list is waiting for the budget to pass tonight. Thinking positively about that and look forward to hearing the results of the vote. Our auditors have started their preliminary audit work for the 1920 audit. We're starting to work on wrapping up things for the 1920 fiscal year. Recently sent out assurance letters, as we do every year, to our 10-month staff and substitutes. Getting ready to place orders for the next fiscal year for supplies for the start of the year. I think that pretty much sums it up.
Thank you, Meg.
Okay, how about Ryan, please?
He looks frozen.
Frozen. Ryan, are you frozen?
Found somebody's computer worse than mine.
Yeah, there you go. All right, let's go on to the Hoovers for the moment. See if we can get back to Ryan in a few minutes. So Amanda, please.
Nice to see everybody and all of your faces. It's been quite a while. So hello, everyone. Good to see you all. Jane did a good job talking about our new curriculum. I'm super excited because I've been in the trainings for the last 2 weeks on it, having lots of great collaborative discussion on what we need to do and how we need to do it and the support everybody needs to do it. The nice part is the letters trainer for BOCES is also our trainer for CKLA, Lori Ostrander. She's a tremendous resource. So we've been very, very lucky to have that to be able to bridge the whole thing together very nicely. Most of our teachers will be able to most likely complete the letters training between over the summer and next school year. So most of the things will have been trained in it. Again, it's very rigorous training for teachers on the science of reading. The narrative report cards that we changed a little bit for the fourth quarter will be going out at the end of this week with teacher assignments for kids next school year. The kindergarten teacher assignments will be going out in August. Because of the social distancing pieces, we weren't able to do kindergarten screening in the spring. We usually do it in May. So we will now be doing that in August and planning for that in August. And then the assignments will come out after that. PJ has been a very busy man this week with graduation, and today we recorded the 5th grade moving up ceremony and the UPK celebrations, which will be coming out on YouTube next week. Let's see. We're having Chromebook returns. I don't know if I was going to talk about that, but we're going to be doing that on Monday and Tuesday of next week. So I'll be putting on a school messenger for that, for the whole district. Elementary summer reading, we're going to be doing virtually and starting July 6th for our students who are most at risk. We've had some teachers who don't have enough Zoom fatigue and are willing to take it on. And then just lastly, huge congratulations to Linda Schick, who's retiring. She is one of our special ed teachers who has been here for a very, very long time, and she's an amazing teacher. It is going to be a loss for us for sure, but she has agreed to come back and help us sub, so we're excited about that. And just a huge special thank you to the entire Walton community. Came together in 3 days like I've never seen like a well-oiled machine. So proud of everybody and so blessed to be able to be part of it.
Thank you, Amanda.
I have 6 or 7 pages worth of things, so I'll try to go through. First of all, lots happened. It's good to see everybody. A lot has happened in the.
Wait, what's Larry saying?
What'd you say?
I just said, as usual, you've got 6 or 7.
Lots happened since I saw you. Right. I'm trying to steal Ryan's thunder since he didn't get to go ahead of me. So, but we've had a few staff members finish their master's degree during this break. We've had a few others begin there. So it's a lot's been going on, not just as far as working with our students, but as far as professional development and becoming a more solid group. We've really, I can't say enough about the entire district and how quickly we were able to come together. And it was really a 24 or 48 hour period that we went from teaching, what was normal to figuring out ways to reach our students in other venues and other ways. Usually when you say, the whole district did an awesome job, you're kind of saying that to be nice to some people who really didn't do that much. This is not the case for this particular thing. Everybody played a huge part in this. I talked a little bit about it last time we met face to face as far as, the Walton community always comes together, and this is another example of that, not just the school, but the entire community. So it's good to be a warrior. Jane mentioned we got a head start with our 1-1 implementation. A lot of things that we did virtually and through distance learning we'll be able to continue next year, with a combination of in-person and virtual. We're going to see, and we saw the ways that virtual learning doesn't work in certain situations, and we saw the ways it does work. So it was a benefit to us to kind of get to go through this as much as it was stressful for all of us involved. We saw a lot of challenges when we were going through this, and the academic piece is part of it, but really the social and emotional health of our students, was always a concern. But we noticed that without the interaction with their teachers and with their peers, it can be tough. You get a little stir crazy sitting home, and we saw that with some of our teachers. Or some of our students, and our teachers did a great job reaching out to those students. And Mr. Ashlaw did a good job reaching out, and our school counselors did an excellent job. So, we didn't let anybody kind of slip through the cracks in this situation, or we did our best to make sure that didn't happen. And again, that's a testament to the entire district. We saw the challenges of kind of grading. We came up with what we think is a pretty good plan in the middle school. We want to hold students accountable, but we also have to be, we have to keep in mind the challenges they face. None of their parents signed up for them to be homeschooling their kids. None of the kids really wanted to be home. Probably the first week or two they may have, but then they quickly realized that school's not so bad. So we came up with a method, and our report cards will go out the end of this week, the beginning next week as well. And we're going to make sure that the parents get some feedback on how their students did. But we didn't want to ruin anybody's summer because the kids struggled on distance learning, because a lot of kids struggled just because of the nature of it. It's a difficult thing to do. Especially for middle school age, because socialization is such a huge part of being a middle schooler, and you take that part out of things, you take that part away, and it's a lot tougher. We did a virtual game show. We did a 6th grade version, a 7th grade version, an 8th grade version. The 6th grade version, we just kind of, I guess you'd say, released it today. It was how well you know your teachers. We had between 3 and 10 students of each grade level participate along with their teachers. It was, kind of a fun thing to do. I think kids had a good time who did it. And that's going to be coming out on our social media there. I actually put it up on the middle school's YouTube page because I couldn't put it up any other way because it's 25 minutes, and apparently that's the only way to put it up that I could figure out. This summer, we're going to continue on with our mentoring / tutoring, kind of in place of a traditional summer school. It worked very well for the students who were involved last year. What it does is it pairs a student with a teacher mentor, and they work together to kind of come up with goals for the summer. Some of those goals are academic, but some of them are also kind of, educational skill type goals and study skills, organization, that kind of thing. The students who went through last year really made a good impact on them. And I think that's the time to do it in the middle school. It's important that they get the academic piece, but we're hoping that they can learn some skills that'll last them beyond middle school and even beyond high school. It will look a little different, of course, because we'll have to do it virtually, and unfortunately, some of our students might not choose to do it because of the virtual aspect, and just whether the internet's not great or whether they're just kind of burned out from Zoom meetings, like Mr. Thomas spoke about some of our and maybe you did about some of our teachers. The last thing I want to talk about is Deb Little is doing a good job with making videos and communicating with our fifth graders. Usually by now she's gone down to the elementary school several times and answered questions and gone over things. They typically come up and visit the middle school in the middle of June and towards the end of June. Because of the circumstances we're facing, they weren't able to do that. But she's done 5 or 6 videos kind of showing and talking about the middle school. Probably watch one is going to be how to open your locker, since that's a big stressor for a lot of fifth graders going into the 6th grade. And Mr. Ashlaw and I plan tomorrow to kind of do a virtual tour of our office to kind of introduce ourselves to the fifth graders and let them know that our office is not just a scary place, that good things happen there too. So I want to thank, Mr. Loomis mentioned it, we have an excellent administrative team. We support one another. We get along very well. All our strengths and weaknesses mesh together so well that we're kind of a well-oiled machine at this point and to the future. So thank you, everyone.
Okay. Ryan, can you talk?
I think I've got it. Does everybody hear me? I kind of gauged by everybody that I was up last time and I just couldn't hear it. So, but I think I've got it now. I'll keep it short and sweet just in case I lose it though. So as far as my year went, kind of like already kind of alluded to and had them both trial by fire, kind of an understatement, I would say, for how it went. But it was definitely interesting. I remember I was thinking about today at our admin retreat last summer, kind of going in there and thinking, oh, what did I get myself into here? I thought I was over my head and everything, but like Adam just said, being part of the team that we have has been very helpful. I was taken under Artie and Adam's wings, whether reluctantly or not, kind of picked up from both of them a lot. They were there every step of the way to help, making sure that I'm doing things the right way, which I think is the most important thing. And we were able to work together a lot. As far as the last few months go, I've been in a lot of contact with the teachers, the students, the families. I think as the way we did it, which was the best way we could with the amount of time that we did it, really was a benefit to as much of a benefit as we could have had with everything that happened. The teachers all really went above and beyond, like Jane said, calling everybody, talking to their kids. There's still teachers right now working on work that's still coming in day to day. Even though we ended on Friday, they really just care and want the kids to do as best as they can. And it was a tough transition for all those kids and teachers and staff and everybody. And I think we all kind of handled it as best we could. And we really relied on each other the whole way through, and that all staff included was a huge help. The admin meetings, the leadership meetings, everything that we had to kind of get the ball rolling. I don't think we could have done it without any other part of the district. You know, John, Tracy, pulling their parts, Lucy, everybody, Meg, all of you guys, and here just kind of we talked it out and came up with a good plan, and I think we ended up the best way we could have. So, but as I am, that's all I've got, and another thank you to everybody for letting me be part of this team this year. It's a privilege. That's all I got.
All right, thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
Took some of the words out of my mouth because I did want to remind everybody that this is only part of the leadership team, and we do have some very capable supervisors and other folks working with us all the time. And we have been meeting twice a week since this whole thing started. As a matter of fact, this was the first week that I actually said yesterday, you know what, let's take a break and let's not meet. So we didn't meet yesterday, but we will meet again this Thursday. And sometimes the meetings last 20 minutes because there's not an awful lot going on, but other times we don't know that there's going to be something and somebody will pop up with something, and then all of a sudden the meeting is 40 minutes or an hour long. And so it's just good having all those different minds, not only thinking about things from their own perspective, but also thinking about things from other people's perspective, because they'll cross platforms and challenge somebody here in front of you or someone else, about a topic and ask about it. And how are you doing this and how are you doing that, or what are your thoughts about it? So it's been a great mix of minds. And the other thing that I really like about it is that they're not afraid to talk to each other. I mean, we've had so many interactions with each other that through prior to the COVID piece, but with the COVID piece as well, that I think there's not a person in the group that's that would be uncomfortable mentioning just about anything to anybody with respect to our program or our support program or anything else to deal with Walton Central. So it is a good team, and I'm very, very proud of all of them. And it goes without saying, and I'm probably the one who mentions it the least, although maybe I should mention it the most, and that is that the rest of the staff is just has been just amazing through all of this. And I don't recall one thing since the middle of March when this all started. I don't recall one time when I got complaints from people. What it was let's get it done, and how do you think we should go at it? And yeah, sometimes we get some people suggesting things, but suggestions are good, and just everybody took care of their area and also helped other people take care of other areas as well. And it was just a pleasure to see all of that happen and that group come together. So my hat is off to the teaching staff and the custodial staff and the food service staff and the clerical staff and the educational support staff and as I said, the teachers and this team that you have here. I think that they just did a magnificent job of making this work. And obviously we're not out of the water yet on this, but with the team that's here, I think that whatever they have to face, they're going to face it head on. They're going to talk to each other about it. They're going to maybe take a day or two to think it through, but they're going to be on the phone with each other or in person with each other all the time. We're working through options, and I just foresee that things are going to go very, very well with respect to not only COVID but the academic program and everything else. So it's been a pleasure to see them work together and to grow together, and I would thank all of them for giving me the opportunity to sit at the table with them and have a lot of fun, really, because I've told them if you're not having fun, there's no sense in doing the job. So I think we have had fun together too. So There is one other, there's a supervisor here. Rick, if there's something that you'd like to mention, please do. I know that you had a lot to do with the remote and with the one-on-one and all that stuff. If there's something you'd like to mention.
Not a whole lot. It was fun to see the work that we put towards the one-to-one program actually go into effect. I thought we were ready, and I think I found out quickly that we were ready. Everything's running well. We do have Chromebook returns on the 22nd, 23rd at both Townsend and the middle school, high schools. So we're hoping to receive the majority of those Chromebooks back so that we can clean them, update them, disinfect them, fix them, repair them, and get them ready for next year. We do still plan on rolling out one-to-one next year from, 6th through 10th grades, I believe, and then 11th grade the following year and 12th grade the following year. That mostly so that we can make sure that we can replace them every year and make sure that we can keep this moving budget-wise. So we have about 200 to 300 new Chromebooks for the first for the middle school classes, and the older classes will be receiving 1 to 2 year old devices. Then every year we'll add a new group to that. So we're really looking forward to that. I would like to say graduation was fantastic. It was nice to see how happy most of the families were. I feel like we did everything they asked for that day. We took as many pictures as they wanted. Whatever they wanted, we made sure to let them know that it was their day, it was their graduation, and we were going to do everything we could to make them happy. So Art and everyone that was involved in that, they did a fantastic job. And I know it was a long day for most of you guys. Besides that, we're really just concerned about reopening planning. How we're, some guidance from the state is supposed to come out in the next week or two. Once we get those guidelines, we're going to push forward with our plans. We have been doing a lot in the background, such as researching cameras that take temperature. They're called thermal cameras. So they can actually scan the body and grab anyone that has a temperature of above 100, 101, and it would actually send me an email. You guys know how I love safety emails with doors and everything. So the camera would actually scan people coming in the building, and it would send an email alert to nurses or administrators saying, hey, this person has a higher temperature than 101 or what have you, whatever we put there for that number. So we're looking into devices such as that to try to keep the flow of the school moving. But again, we don't know what the guidelines are, so it's really hard to get into too much planning. But cameras like that really aren't a bad idea anyways, to be honest with you. We should know if someone has 102 temperature that's walking around our hallways. So that's really where we're going, and hopefully we'll know more in the next week or two.
We also know that Rick can count backwards from 3 to 1. I want to make sure that I say it because somebody's going to get me on this, but I don't think, as I was thanking all the groups and everything, I don't think I thanked transportation. And boy, we sure needed them this time around, and they stepped forward too, and getting the meals out to all the kids and everything. So I want to make sure that I include them in the big thank you, because they were a big piece of what's happened.
Rhonda is trying to get back in right now. She keeps losing link. I see a couple others have been as well. So she should be back any moment.
Okay. I just want to mention that, and Meg, you might want to correct me on this because I'm not sure the headings on this sheet that I got from Lucy and Kim, but they had given me some dollar figures just to be illustrative of the kinds of expenses that we went through for as far as feeding kids when COVID hit. And if I'm looking correctly at this, we're looking at COVID federal and state fund expenditures or amounts that we're claiming for. And we were probably looking at somewhere around the tune of $21,000 for the last part of March. And you remember things started right in the middle of March, so the last part of March. And when April hit, that amount mushroomed to about 51,000 and change. And in May, it rose again to over $57,000 in credits, or what we're looking for in terms of our feeding program and what that the kinds of costs that were incurred because of the COVID virus. And that may not have been just food; it was probably other supplies and things that we could that were related to the food service program as well. So I did want to mention that to the board. I also wanted to mention that today, and I sent this out to the administrative team, that we just got an update today from the New York State Department of Health with respect to updated guidance for graduation celebrations during the COVID-19 state of emergency. And I think I'll ask Corey to send this to all of you on Friday letter so you can look at the whole thing. It's several pages long, but in summary, they were pretty firm on this document with respect to outdoor graduation still staying within the 150 limit. Outdoor graduations and in-person graduations requiring masking, requiring the 6 foot distancing. So any type of gathering, really, from what we have heard from the governor's office, this document pretty much has, well, not even pretty much, has said, that's where they're at, and that's where the health department's at. And this is the New York State Health Department, the Department of Health. They did talk about virtual ceremonies, which is what we're going to be going through technically in terms of what folks are seeing on the 27th. And the regulations, or the guidance, I should say, they're not regulations, but the guidance that they put on in there is pretty much in line with where we were at last weekend. So again, hats off to my team who thought all this through and listened to what was going on in other areas and watching what was at the state level. And also very much appreciate the board's support on this as well to make this happen. They did talk about in the guidance document drive-in ceremonies and drive-through ceremonies, and they did have some guidance with respect to that too. But those were not necessarily areas that we had thought about looking at graduation a little bit different way, which is what we finally did. So again, thank you all for your support on that. That pretty much does it with me. I know Rhonda's trying to get in, right, Rick?
She is trying, and she's trying. She's gotten in a couple times and keeps getting kicked back out. I've noticed a couple of you have also been kicked out. I'm not sure what's going on. He is not back yet. So that passes it over to Graydon, who usually has our best and most reliable internet.
Yes, sir.
We will give it a try. With the admin, if any of the admins want to stay around, of course, you're more than welcome to. Do you have anything else, Larry?
I do not.
Okay.
Before you move on, can I just thank the admin team for their first year? Well done. I think you guys did a phenomenal job throughout everything, in case you're not staying, and look forward to see what you have coming down the pike for the future.
Okay.
Thanks, Miranda.
Yes.
All right.
Discussion items, I believe, was the next on the agenda. Discussion items, graduation update we just received from Mr. Thomas and Art and everybody. And Super Eval Zoom workshop is available on June 23rd, 25th, 30, or July 1st. That is for the workshop to train everybody on how to use super evaluation, superintendent evaluation. Facilities committee meeting was held on June 10th. If Larry or Meg or Kevin want to give a report on that quickly, just an update.
I'll pass it to Meg. She's the crew chief on this.
The two things we talked about were the status of the capital outlay project. It's currently been submitted to state education for review. It undergoes an architectural and an engineering review. Best case scenario is we're estimating we'll get those approvals at the end of June. Provided the budget is approved tonight with the capital outlay project as part of that budget. In July, we will discuss whether we want to go out to bid this summer for the work to be conducted this summer if there's enough time, or if not, when we can possibly complete it during the school year. The second item we discussed was just an outline of how we want to move forward with public information related to the large capital project in anticipation of a vote this fall. We tentatively penciled in a November 17th date for that vote and worked the calendar backwards. We're going to be working in June and July on putting together some information for the website, some frequently asked questions, and possibly a video for the public that just explains the project and the impact. And then we'd work through September and October to get that information out, both through virtual means, in-person meetings if we're allowed to have them at that point, and a couple of mailings, one a newsletter with information about the project and a postcard reminding people of the vote when it gets closer.
I'm assuming we're up to discussion items. Sorry, I have been trying to get reconnected here.
We are.
Did we do CSE, CPSE?
No, we need to do
No,
that.
let's backtrack.
Oh, all right. Well, why don't we roll through the rest of 5 discussion items and then sweep back?
Yeah,
Okay.
we've got 3, I think 4, as a matter of fact. So, curriculum committee, I believe Jane gave the update. If you want to pick up after that, Rhonda, that curriculum committee update was given. The next one
Right,
is the
correct.
adjourned annual meeting. We're going to be counted tonight at the bus garage. And then this is where we're getting
Right.
into Miranda. Thank you, Mr. Thomas and the admin team. So I know it was their first year. I probably should have jumped that up on the list to talk about, but Miranda, thank the admin team for their first year. A lot of the first year out of the gate for those admin, very tough year. Everybody performed extremely well, and the district, I think, wholeheartedly is very proud of the jobs they did. Larry, thank you for your leadership through those times. Your calming demeanor is always very important to the staff, and the admin team has always arisen to expectations. So we definitely appreciate that. I probably should have jumped that up, Miranda, when they were still on the line with us, but thank you wholeheartedly. And if Rhonda, if you want to pick up, thank you, Mr. Thomas, on, if you can.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what's going on. I normally never have cell service, but I'm able to get on with my cell service, so hopefully it'll continue. Mr. Thomas, if you would be kind enough to ask Maria to join you. And I'm hoping that I can see you. I can't get gallery view on here.
She doesn't necessarily get up this fast for me, but when I say the board wants you, she got right up. Come on. Oh, wait a minute. What's this?
Larry, that is just a thank you. And thank you, Maria, for participating in that and doing that for us.
You're welcome.
We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Larry. And thank you, Maria, for giving us Larry for 2 years.
Just reflecting
Yes.
back.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I know he's enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything except for the drive.
Right. Right. Well, reflecting back, when Mr. Thomas, first started, we had 3 administrators accept jobs in other districts, and he still agreed to come to our district. Then he quickly was able to place 2 retiree principals, and they were able to start at the beginning of the school year. And people can chime in if I'm forgetting something, because it was quite the list. Then we went on where one of the interim principals was not able to finish out the full year, and he seamlessly transitioned with one of our very own middle school principals. Then we received notice that the business manager was leaving at the end of the year. And once again, we had a seamless transition where one business manager was leaving, the other one was there to start early enough to be caught right up and take right over. Then let's not forget the positions that he was able to fill: the elementary school principal, the high school principal, the dean of students, the nurse's position. Then the board asked him to stay an additional year, and he graciously agreed. And then COVID-19 hit, and something that nobody had experienced before. Information changed hourly. Students and staff were sent home, and virtual learning began. Your calm demeanor, your prior experience, and your ability to see the potential in your employees was just what our district needed. And for that, we thank you for your time here at Walton Central School. And now we wish you once again a happy retirement. And Maria, we appreciate you making that for on our behalf, since we were not able to all be together at this time. But once again, Larry, thank you for everything. And Maria, thank you for what you have supported during this.
You're welcome.
She's the best thing to
Thank
ever
you both.
So, yeah.
Thank you.
I'll leave you to your name.
Thank you.
Thomas.
Thank you very much, everybody. It's been a pleasure. I'm just going to add one piece to you, Rhonda, because we also took care of a CSE chair too.
Yes, that's right. Thank you.
And she's also done a great job, and I just didn't want to leave her out of the group because it is a magnificent team. The lady who is on my screen is right next to me. Is probably one of the best investments that I think I ever made in my world, and that would be I think you're going to have a really good time with Meg watching your dollars and cents. So I appreciate her very much. And I know Rick is still on, and I just want to say that there's nobody that beats him as far as tech that I've ever seen. So pretty amazing. So thank you very much for giving me such nice people and such good people to work with.
Welcome. Thank you. And, you know, Dr. McDonald will be starting July 1. And then hopefully this COVID is behind us by then. We can only hope. The NISBA Virtual Summer Law Conference will be held on July 21st. Should anyone attend that, we can let Corey know so she can get everyone or anyone that is interested registered. And then we also have the New York State School Board's annual conference on for the 2021, and that will be, I'm trying to think, October 29th through the 31st. I, for one, is not too excited about going to New York City just yet, so I'd like to hold off as long as we can before we decide to register for that, just to see what's going to happen. And we are up to correspondence, unless anybody had any questions on any of that.
We got to go back.
Yep.
Sorry.
Number 3. I followed through on the discussion, Rhonda, because we were into admin remarks, and I think we have to back us to number 3.
Okay.
Which would be our general session approval of CSP recommendations, which I would wholeheartedly. And
right,
I would move for that approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Carried. Okay.
I'm sorry, was somebody opposed to that, or was there just, it was just a timing issue?
Timing
Might have
issue.
been. Yep.
Yeah, Graydon moved it. I second timing. No opposition.
All right. And just to backtrack again, once again, public comment, should anybody wish to make public comment, that can be done through the BOE website or by calling the district clerk. And we are up to correspondence. And in our correspondence, we've received a letter from New York State School Boards Association Area 8, Brian Latourette. He is wishing to seek support to remain as a representative. So there's a resolution for that later in the meeting, but if anybody has any concerns about that, we can bring that up. Meg, was there any additions to the agenda?
No,
You too.
none.
Bye.
Okay. All right. So because I have such poor service, I'll just quickly go over the consent agenda unless there's anything that anybody would wish to discuss. The consent agenda, of course, including the financial reports, the transfer of funds, the appointment of the election inspectors, accepting the MOU for the retiree employment, approving 75 summer hours for Pam Didazio, our LPN, and 10 summer days for our RN Leanne Otto, approve the 2021 summer stipends, approval of the bus routes, and approval of the per diem part-time typist for the school bus garage, the awarding of the milk bids and awarding of the ice cream bid, and then the 2021 personnel appointments. And then lastly, the athletic recommendations. If there are no concerns, or if anybody wishes to comment on them, I'd ask for a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Marilyn will make a motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right, we are up to new business, number 9. This would be for the nomination of Brian Latourette to continue as the Area 8 New York State School Board's representative.
I'd make the motion.
Second,
Marilyn.
Second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And then we have the external auditor letter of agreement. And this will be through the end of June 2020. Were there any concerns or comments on that agreement? Okay, none said. Would there be a motion to accept that agreement?
Ernie will move it.
Second,
Calvin will second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Bus lease bid award. This was done for the bus lease, and of course, this is pending voter approval, which is being done right now, the counting of the votes for the bus leasing proposition. Do we have a motion to accept that?
Calvin will move it.
I'll second.
All, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And then we have the approval of the 2020-2021 stipends. Do we have a motion to accept those stipends as submitted?
I'll make it, Miranda.
Second,
Marilyn.
Marilyn, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right, we are up to 9E, personal appointments. This is the personal appointments of Ryan Ashlaw as Dean of Students as a teacher on special assignment, Justin Preston as an athletic director, effective July 1, and Tara Sackett being appointed as the CSE chairperson as a teacher on special assignment for the 2021 school year, as well as Tara Sackett being appointed as the summer CSE chairperson. Do we have a motion to accept those appointments?
Ernie, you'll move it.
I'll move
Second.
it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right, we are up to 10. Mr. Thomas, with me going in and out, have you done your superintendent remarks or are you doing them now?
Oh, I think I said all my piece, and what I didn't say, the others said for me, so we're all set.
All right, wonderful. All right, so there is a need to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing pending litigation. And we need a motion to go into executive session first.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We will ask that Attorney Robert Schofield join us in executive session. And at the time the board will enter executive session, we do not anticipate action after executive session. So I will ask in advance who will make that motion and who will make the motion to adjourn.
I move it.
Second?
I'll second it.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right. Thank you. We will join in executive session.
Yeah.